You can use the Zoom for general membership. All you have to do is go in and send an email to one of the officers. We will set the meeting up for you. You will be the host, and go from there. If you want, I can go in if I'm available and be there for your very first meeting to make sure everything works okay. It's fairly simple and straightforward. Good news, professional consultation. We will be continuing to do that, but virtually only. And we'll be using Zoom or FaceTime, depending upon the platform you're on. So if you need help, give Barry or I a call. Richard Nielsen. Okay, Richard.
Yeah, that's the Nielsens.
Okay.
Actually, it's my wife that's going to talk.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
I have a question about syncing my iPad and my iPhone. When I want to delete a message, I get, emails, and I have to delete them separately on the phone and on the iPad. Is there a way so that I can do it on one and it'll do it across to the other one too?
Yes. But only if your mail supports IMAP. That's an IMAP protocol. If your messages are not being deleted on both platforms, that means your ISP no longer does not support that, because IMAP and POP is automatic and IMAP is the default. So you don't even have to remember that anymore. So who is your email through?
Yahoo.
Yahoo is a POP3 only, which means you have to delete it on each platform.
So who would I have to change it to have it deleted on both of them if I want to quit Yahoo Mail?
Gmail works. Coxmail works.
iCloud.
If you have the iPhone platform, iCloud supports IMAP. But Yahoo is about the only one that doesn't anymore.
Oh, that's good. That's the one I've had for 20 years.
Yeah. And that's probably why, because the new Yahoo accounts, I think, will, but I'm not sure. Rules of engagement, we've already talked about most of these. Mute your microphone unless you need to talk. Video is optional. On Macintoshes or on any of your computers, if you have a do not disturb option available, use it. And I remember to do that on mine. Do we have any questions about the club and how to use Zoom before we proceed with the rest of the meeting?
All right. On that same topic I was talking about before, I tried to open another one of the documents in that file, and it said Word cannot open the document. User does not have access privileges.
We need to get together for a virtual session where we can share screens so I can take a look at it.
Okay.
You got a
Hence
permission.
my private message to you of a minute or two ago.
So we got some share favorites. So Mike, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good morning, everybody. This is going to be a very short, brief tip. I'm going to bring up my second screen over here. You should be able to see my nightly background. All right, this is a little tip I found for controlling background apps under Windows 10. It's really designed for if you're on the road traveling and you need to worry about battery power. I found that you can actually individually control what background or what apps run in the background after you use them. You can keep them from running in the background or permit them if you actually need them. In order to get to this, you go to the Windows Start down here and go to Settings, which is the little gearbox, and go to Privacy. And under this long list of stuff, which, by the way, is really interesting to explore, there's all sorts of things down here, but you have background apps. And essentially, this is every application I have installed which could possibly run in the background. And I can either turn them all off or on if I want to, if I don't want them to run in the background after I'm done using them. Or I can control each of them individually. Again, since I'm on a desktop, I'm really not concerned about this. But if I were traveling and say that I was trying to work in an airport waiting for a flight, and I'm connecting to a mobile hotspot, that might tend to take up my battery power. So in that case, I might go through here and actually turn off everything I don't really need in order to save my battery power, save my battery life. So that's this month's Windows tip.
Okay,
And
thank you
back to
very
you.
much, Mike. Barry, you got the one for Mac, right?
I have a Mac tip. Hide this. This tip is about scrolling and visible or invisible scroll bars in Mac OS. Back, I believe it was the first Mac after the cats, which I forgot the number, but it was Mac OS Mavericks. Apple changed the way scroll bars behave. In other words, they're not visible by default anymore. They're only visible when you start scrolling. So I'm using my 2-finger scroll on my trackpad here, and you see that the scroll bar appears temporarily, and if I move the mouse over it, then I can control it. But I no longer have any kind of visual reference when I'm not scrolling that there's even a scroll bar there, or where I am happen to be, and you can actually scroll left or right too. So there's one on the bottom as well as the side. If you've been flummoxed by this, you can return the default behavior from before this change by going to System Preferences and going to General, and in this middle section here, there's an item for showing your scroll bars, and then now the default is automatically based on your mouse or trackpad. So they'll come and go depending on where your mouse is pointing. You can change it to when you're scrolling, which is not much different, or you can turn it on to always. So if I go back to my Finder window here now I'm not scrolling anything, but you can see the scroll bars are still there. And you can get an idea. And this works in any app, not just the Finder. So if I bring up this PDF document, I can see the scroll bar here. There's also one on the sidebar for the pages. If I go back to the way it was before, now they're only visible when I'm actively scrolling. If you want your scroll bars to always be there for you to see, you could switch it back to always, and then you'll have an idea visually where you are in the document. Your scroll bars will be visible for you to click and drag on without having to move your mouse or scroll anything to make them appear. And that's my Mac OS tip.
That was a great tip, Barry. Okay, Barry, you've got the next one on iOS, right?
Oh, yeah, I have a real quick iOS tip as well.
Yeah.
All right, so this is about email on your phone. And I'm going to open the email app here. And I have several email accounts, and I'm downloading new mail as we speak, it looks like. Anyway, I've got a number of emails showing here in the list, and I have a lot of subscriptions. I have, emails from different companies, restaurants, whatever. I don't always look at every single one. In fact, most of the time I usually just delete them. And I can, swipe to the left and get rid of it that way. Or if I want to do multiples, sometimes you could, if you want to do multiple email messages, you tap on edit at the top right, and then you can, just tap on each one to select it, and then at the bottom tap on trash. But there's an even faster way. You can select multiple emails to do something with, specifically if in my case, I'm going to trash them, by two-finger tapping and dragging. This is a kind of an interesting gesture, but you put 2 fingers down on the top one and then drag down, and they automatically start selecting. It's a very quick gesture. You can't hold your finger there too long. You have to touch it and then start moving it while you're touching the screen, and it automatically selects them as you swipe down with your fingers. So instead of tapping on each one separately, I've got them all done, or at least 5, and now I hit trash and they all go away. It's just another way of selecting. Could be quicker for you if you try it. That's my iOS tip.
That was a great tip, Barry. By the way, that is definitely a learned function. I finally, after practicing for about 15 minutes, now have it mastered.
I have the question about that 2-finger swipe. After you have swiped and you have 5, can you tap on one of those 5 to undelete it? You know, so you could do quite a few, but there's 3 in there, as an example, that you didn't want to delete. Can you go back and tap those 3 and have the others stay highlighted?
Yes, you can. So once they're selected, if you tap on an individual or tap on multiples, you will deselect the ones you tap on and the other ones will stay selected.
Next, we have the treasurer's report from Carolyn.
Okay, we have $345.30 in checking and $1,525.02 in savings. So that's the treasurer's report.
Okay, it's not doing too bad then. That's one of the, and we have,
I have a question.
oh yeah, Barry.
Does the user group get a stimulus check?
As far as I know, 501c organizations do not qualify for a stimulus check. With that being said, thank you, Carolyn. Let's go on. Term of the month. What we're going to do this month, these are the symbols commonly used and the equivalent keys on your keyboard. You see right here, you know, this is left arrow, up arrow, down arrow, right arrow, back tab, caps lock, the command key, the control key, backspace or delete. This one you don't see that often. The in key, the enter key, eject, the escape key. The escape key is the one in the upper left-hand corner. Forward delete, well, that's the symbol for it. I rarely see it. What Carolyn just said is that some are Mac only. The command key is Mac only. Options or Alt. Alt, I think, is Windows. Option is Mac, or the other way around. I can never remember which. Or Option is Mac. Alt is Windows. That's the key for it. Page down, page up. Those are the symbols. Rarely seen. Return key. That's universal. Shift key is universal. Space is universal. Tab is universal. Forward delete, which I rarely ever seen. Escape key, most of the time this symbol's not used. They just use a 3-letter case for it. Caps lock is universal. Clear, well, that's the symbol. I don't think I've ever seen clear used except in the Word. Those are the symbols. It's a good little reference chart in case you can't remember what they are. Any questions?
What's the difference between enter and return?
On most keyboards today, they are the same key. If on your keyboard you see them labeled differently, there is a difference. They actually generate 2 different codes. However, today, most of the time, it's the same key.
Okay.
But if you see something that comes up and specifically says enter, look on your keyboard for the enter key. It's only on the numeric keypad.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
usually. Yeah, I have an extended keyboard, and the numeric keypad bottom right is usually labeled enter, and then the return key is on the main keyboard with all the letters. Most of the time, hitting one or the other is basically the same action.
Okay.
But sometimes, and I find this more with Windows when I'm working at work on a Windows machine for the city, that there are some things that require the enter key on the numeric keypad for it to apply the command correctly. If you use the enter or the return key instead of the enter key, it doesn't work. So there can be a difference if you have an extended keyboard.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and Mike brought up something on the Windows machines. They have the Windows key instead of the command key. they are actually not the same key and used interchangeably. And I don't, Mike, have they ever really implemented the Windows key that much?
The only thing the Windows key really does is it brings up, it's a fast shortcut to the start menu, basically. That's really the only thing I've ever known it to be used for.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Usually the Windows equivalent for giving keyboard commands is control. So control and then a letter
Yeah,
instead of command and then a letter.
yeah.
Command being the Mac keyboard shortcut, control being Windows.
Let's move along. Okay, question and answers. Do we have any questions about Windows, Macintosh, iOS, others? No questions? Wow. Okay, that's a new first. What I want to do right now is let's take our break. We'll come back in 5 minutes and start up again.